Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome back. Today we're going to be making a couple of skinning knives for the upcoming hunting season. I'm going to be forging them out of this bar of ADCRV2, and without further ado, let's get forging. Here's the design I drew up for the knife. It has a blade of about 4 3/4 with an overall length of about 9.5 inches. Our first step is to cut up the bar into a couple of smaller, more manageable pieces. After that, it's time to light the forge and wait for it to heat up to around 2100 degrees, and then go ahead and stick our pieces of metal in. Now that the metal's nice and piping hot, it's time to take it over to the hammer and anvil and start a-whacking. After getting the tip most of the way forged in, I like to take it to the sander and just touch it up a little bit, and then back to the hammer and anvil, and then back to the sander a little bit, just to make sure I don't end up with any cold shuts. Alrighty, so here's where we're at. We've got the rough blade forged in. Now it's time to start forging the ricasso and tang. Forging the tang in is one of my favorite parts of forging because you can really wail on it and really move some material. After getting all the rough forging done, this next morning I decided to take those rough knife blanks over to the angle grinder and cut in the tangs. The ADCRV2 that I'm working with was a new steel for me and was pretty tough for me to forge. The faces of my hammers were getting pretty beat up from a lot of heavy forging recently, so I decided to take them over to the sander and get them all prettied up. That way I can have a nice surface finish on the metal I'm forging. So for this one, I'm going to differ from the design a little bit, and I'm going to have a little bit more of a slope to it, kind of like a Nessmuck Skinner, say a Canadian skinning knife. That's a little bit more of what this shape is going to be, / fighting knife style. I'm going to leave a brute de forge finish on this one, so it's not perfectly dead straight right now. So I'm going to have to straighten all that with the hammer. I'm just giving it a few sturdy hits. If you forge it too much when it's cold, you'll actually stress the metal out and cause it to break later on in the process. Alrighty, now that I've got both of these knives rough ground, I'm going to be putting some Hamon 1800 from Pop's Knife Supply on this shiny one. The edge is sitting at around 1/16 of an inch right now, and what this clay will do is it'll leave us a soft spine, and so it'll be a lot more flexible and resilient that way with a super hard type of edge. And well, I stuck the knife in the forge too soon after putting the clay on, so all the water in the clay boiled and all the clay popped off. So I decided to do something a little different. What I decided to do is called an edge quench. So what I did is heat up just the edge of the knife to critical temperature, and then quench just the edge, or mostly the edge, in oil, and what that'll do is give us a nice springy spine. Both of the quenches went well, so it's time to clean off some of the scale and then move on to the tempering phase of heat treatment. What this does is it lowers the hardness of the knife a little bit, but it adds tons of toughness to the blade. After doing bunches of grinding, the final step for the blade portion of these knives is to hand sand them all the way up to 600 grit. Now that I've got this blade all wrapped up, I'm going to go ahead and start working on the other blade and get that one finished up and to the same state as this one. That won't be for this video, it'll be for the next one. But since that's a super boring process, I'm going to call it there for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe button. It really helps out makers like me. Thank you for watching.